I think the biggest problem that arises when you, going back to this idea of subsidiarity, when you uh, try to solve a problem that, should be solved by within the household or within a community from, the federal government or some agency. The one problem is the distance there, as we mentioned a moment ago. But if this becomes a consistent, if if problems increasingly are addressed by, centralized or distant authorities, then people will adjust their expectations accordingly. And so when we're talking about the family, we think about things like, educating children and providing for their needs, training them just to be virtuous citizens, to be even to, to be to train them in the ways of the Christian faith. If we just kind of outsource these things to, other agencies entirely, then, we are there. The danger is, just expecting someone else to take care of all these things while we go about our own business. And then, um, you know, if we then later on down the road realize there's, our children are struggling or something, it's hard to like to switch gears then to be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to be involved after I've kind of been in this habit for a long time of just being detached and distant, trusting that someone else will take care of it. I think uh, that problem applies to many other things. Charity to the poor, for instance. There's a great little musing on this by Alexis de Tocqueville called A Memoir on Pauperism, and he's talking about the kind of the welfare state in 19th century Britain, and how the shift from kind of private charity to a public kind of charity, what it ended up doing is shifting expectations both among the poor and among everyone else that really were not helpful in the end. The poor just kind of have this expectation that the government will give them something, and so they become kind of entitled. And everyone else is just like, oh, well, why would I help a poor person? Because the government's going to help them anyway. And so there's even kind of it breaks down even the virtues that we want to see people have at the private level if we just outsource it all to the state. And so, in the household, there's responsibilities that parents have in society to raise children. And if we outsource all of those to the state, then everybody is going to become passive in areas that we can't afford to be passive in.
Mm.
And some people, this isn't to say that you can't entrust your children's education, to a good school, but even if you do that, as a parent, you should still have a, serious interest and oversight in that.
Mm.
So that, if these people to whom you've trusted your children are not doing their job, you step in.
Mm.
So those are kind of some of the dangers I think that come when we
Mm.
do too much outsourcing with the work of
Mm.
the household.
Mm.
There's times when it's appropriate, but it should always be, it should always be viewed as sort of a delegation where there's still, the parents are still kind of the authority at the end of the day, even if someone else is doing the grunt work.
Mm-hmm.